Hi, it's Lisa. Welcome to another episode of the Audacity Archives. And today I want to talk about magical thinking and delusional mindsets. So, first of all, American exceptionalism. Oh my God. Like, does everybody realize that we're coming to a massive we're living through a massive global narcissistic collapse, and that with the help of Hollywood and Disney and propaganda, the US had leveraged itself into, you know, this being a cornucopia of magic. And, we are the heroes of the world. We saved the planet from the Nazis. Blah, 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 blah. When in reality, we're greedy vampires that have lived in a fantasy world since post World War II. Yay! Anyway, let me give you guys some facts, because if you're in therapy, you know that your mantra should be feelings are not facts. So let's talk about some facts. All right. One thing that we've all been told as North Americans or as United States citizens is that democracy is the greatest thing ever and that communism is the worst thing ever. Well, here are some facts and statistics about communist China in relation comparatively to costs in the US. So let's start. And this data is from 2026. Rent in the United States is 286% higher than communist China. Restaurants cost to dine out is 240% more expensive here. Costs including rent are 160% higher in the US. Costs excluding rent are 127% higher in the US. Groceries are 110% higher in the US. And then our local purchasing power is 50%, 55% comparatively. So, people in China, men typically retire between 60 and 63, and women typically retire between, it was 50 to 55, but it's moving from 55 to 58, probably because women typically take care of their parents more. And in the US right now, according to this data, we get, for younger workers, the retirement age is 67%. Health coverage. Basic medical insurance covers 90% of the population in China. Health spending per person far lower than the US. Why? Because they don't live on toxic chemicals and okay. And these sources, World Bank, IMF, GDP data. I'm not even going to talk about the GDP because the GDP is not a real thing. Yeah. So, and then there's always, but we're free. What are we free? Like, what is so free here? What's free here? You mean they actually punish? We have this pretend justice and pretend they actually punish people for actual crimes. Corporation, you get corruption, murder. They kill you. Bam, you're dead. Pedophilia? Where's the Chinese Epstein? Where's the Chinese Trump? Where's the Chinese Bill Clinton? So, sorry, I am like, this is so disgusting to me. And then, like, back up even a little bit more, and we have the gender war, where on one side there's misogyny, where like women just want to use men for money, and then on the other side there is a bunch of little girls masquerading as women that want to be Disney princesses. Like I was in denial about that because I've never expected that. That's not been my experience. But now when I look at things relatively, even like through the lens of my family, the women in my family expect all the men to regulate their emotions. My mom and both of my sisters, massive crash out queens. One is dead from a drug overdose. The other one is a fucking hysterical, angry, bitter fraud who bragged to me that she has a college degree in education that her husband did all the homework for. And she bragged to me about it. And she's teaching school. I don't know if she's teaching now, but before so I have not had anything to do with my family since I like put myself in therapy and made myself look at them realistically out of the bubble of that's my mother, that's my sister, and all the roles, because the moment I exceeded what they thought, like I was the scapegoat. I'm still the scapegoat. They go around telling people I'm an alcoholic, and everybody that knows me knows what a raging lie that is. I am just the truth seeker and the truth teller. I tell the truth about my children. When I tell you that my sons are three of the most self-important virtues, two of them are extremely virtue signaling. One of them is out and loud and proud about his narcissism. But because I'm the truth teller, none of my sons like each other, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And like when I tell you guys, when the reality of what we've been hiding from ourselves and lying to ourselves about, when that hit me, the depression that I went into, I'm still vibrating from it. Like that people are not real and that all they want, including our children, our siblings, our neighbors, our politicians, everybody is just to get their own way. And that women expect men to regulate their emotions and men expect women to leave them alone and let them do whatever they want. It fell on me like a ton of bricks because I have a very I had this part of myself that believed that humans are inherently good and that I just needed to, like, that they just needed to talk it out, and that understanding, like, everybody, that I really, really, really thought that humans just want to, that they want to be understood. I was so naive. Now, I never bought into the Disney princess stuff. When I tell you, my sister Pam, the moment she got a job and had a nickel, she went and obsessively bought Barbie dolls and did not pay her bills, and then would call me crying. And instead of her partner, who she's still with, holding her accountable, he would work 2 jobs. He would work 3 jobs. So this unhealthy, toxic dynamic of people no accountability. And the moment I started holding myself accountable, and I held my children accountable, and I created boundaries with these people, I became non gratis. Enemy number one. Enemy number one. And there's this thing that is a phenomena that is going to happen. It's women and men are going to start telling the truth about each other and their children. Right? You can say that today, Lisa said, she is, I'm a triple Aquarius. I am the future. I am an Aries sun, Aquarian moon, and Capricorn rising. I don't lie because I think it's stupid. And I don't wear a mask because why would I need to? If I want something, I get up and earn it. I don't lust for what other people have. Now, I have had tons and tons of people project onto me. Men look at me and they see the woman of their dreams. Women look at me and see what men want. I have dealt with so much projection, and I was very, very naive about it because I don't live in that reality. I am just Lisa. Now, there comes a point in every woman's life where it's like, do I want to make $30 or $40 an hour, or do I want to make $400 an hour? I chose $400 an hour so people can judge me because I don't care. I don't care. Literally. People ask me when they already know. I have a link tree that has a link. But they're so split because one part of them is like, slut shaming is bad. And then there's the other part of them that's like, oh my God, that bitch. Jealousy and envy are the lowest vibe on this planet. Y'all need to grow up. Guess how I got this body? Genetics and a lot of exercise. Guess how I got this brain? Reading and focusing on things outside of all y'all's superficial dynamics. Everybody that knows me knows that I am not superficial. I am grounded. Thank you, Capricorn rising. I am grounded and I'm intellectual, and the Aries brings it all together to be like, you can't shame me, you can't embarrass me, you can't own me, you cannot steer me. And I think that's intoxicating. Like I've often wondered, like, why are people so like prone to either like want to be this close to me and have me like in a picture with them, or like want to wear my skin. And I'm not the most beautiful woman in the world, but I am the woman that doesn't give a single fuck. I am transparent. I am not a thin-skinned Scorpio looking for constant validation. I'm not a Gemini that needs everybody's permission and attention and adoration. I'm not a wishy-washy Pisces that's constantly swimming around, virtue signaling, saying one thing and doing another, pretending like they're God's gift to the world, and then sitting on a bar stool crying because everything didn't go their way. Should I keep going? Should I keep going? I'm not a Libra that is constantly looking for a brave person to stand behind. Cardi B is a badass, but she's a Libra with an Aries rising. Let's see. Let me do some more roasting. Sagittarius. I dated a Sag. Let me tell you about him. Very intelligent. Very manipulative. Very artistic. Very immature. Have I left anybody out? Let's see. Aquarius Sun. Please, Aquarius Sun, if you don't have some grounding forces, it's look at me, look at me, look at me. Here's ice cream. I want to be the most popular person in the world. Cancers. Oh my gosh. Cancers. Cancers. Oh gosh. Where do I start? That is the most virtue signaling, pick me, Santa Claus parent. If you know a Capricorn, or if you know a Cancer that is a parent, they are the Santa Claus. They are the Santa Claus, and they literally, their motto is money buys forgiveness. Yeah, money buys forgiveness. Okay, Virgo. Virgo is grounded and structured, but very peculiar in the sense that this one's hard for me because my sister that died is a Virgo, and I loved her so much because she would look at my mother, and when my mother terrified me for obvious reasons. She beat the shit, my Scorpio mother beat the shit out of me when I was a kid, but I had to live in a reality where mother, that's mother. Well, my Virgo sister, I remember her looking at my mother and saying, old lady, there's 9 years between me and my sister. Old lady, when you're old, I'm going to put you in a nursing home, and I'm not even going to roll you over. You're going to be covered in bed sores. But she also was a crash out queen who loved to run with the derelicts, and she was one of the smartest people I know, but she could not process her anger productively, which all of us struggle with. Like, oh my God, like, my anger has been in a cloud because I intellectualize everything, and I've had to create several downloads where I could like look at it, my anger, and then be like, that's justified and that's just stupid. And that's called maturity. So I've had to raise myself because I do not live in a world of reality and maturity. I live in a world where, let's be honest, Can we be honest? White people hate everybody. Unless they're giving them what they want. And they're telling them what they want to hear. Right? And so white people have ran the world, majority of it. So other hateful people want to be adjacent to them, right? Because we all know that a lot of black people hate black people, a lot of brown people hate brown people, and they will love to be adjacent to that white superiority complex because they have it. I don't think they want to be white. I think they're just mad and hateful. Let's be honest. And manipulative and greedy, right? So there are no angels flying around in heaven. This is not heaven. So in 2026, anybody that is participating in organized religion needs to walk directly to a mirror and look into it and say, why am I such a asshole? And why would I want to use something that is so obviously built on oppression and virtue signaling as a shield? Especially if I am a black person worshiping white Jesus. Like, we gotta have some real coming to reality moments. I understand that as a woman that was born in this country in 1973, I am culturally Christian. Do you know what that comes with? That comes with sitting in church with a bunch of ice queen, frigid women who were beating people over the head with their fake superiority complex and perception of what is moral in the universe, while I was listening and paying attention and they were crying to their sky daddy and repeating and hypnotizing themselves with the fact that their God is building them a mansion in heaven where the streets are paved with gold. Hey, that's not real, people. That's not real. And that same mentality where you want your God to punish wicked people, that's not real either. Humans have to be moral and boundary driven and hold people accountable. I actually have come to this understanding. I had a great conversation with a guy that I'm kind of into, and our values and morals line up, and our view of the world lines up, and we both understand that people are inherently manipulative and want to get their way. And they use religion and purity culture to try to beat people into submission. It ain't working on me, and it ain't working on him. We are coming out of this mass hypnotic state, and there's some people that are not happy about it because they are losing their ability to get what they want by just being a bully. So, I actually prefer the Mayan way. Like, If somebody is a pedophile in my village, I want to throw them in the fucking volcano. If somebody is a murderer and a rapist, I don't want to hold a trial and then watch it on TV. I want to throw them in the volcano. I understand that the Son is real and Jesus is not. I understand that the reason Epstein and the Mayans like to sacrifice virgins is because they would project all of their wicked evilness onto the innocence of children and then murder them, and it would give them an emotional release and a sense of power and a superiority complex. Do you dummies not understand that? That is why men love pedophilia. Because they get to steal someone's innocence, and it's a cycle that keeps going. And of course there are women that do it too. And throw them in the volcano too. Stop projecting onto other people. Hold yourself accountable. Create your own value system where whiteness and beauty standards are who's creating those standards now? It's not just white people. Who creates these standards? So let's all take a moment to ground ourselves in reality and realize if we want something to change, we have to get up and collectively make that happen. If we want something in our personal life to change, we have to formulate a real plan that does not involve video games, a rap career, a Disney princess fetish. Does that make sense? Like, there are lots of trades that pay a lot of money, but it takes exertion. And if you're, for instance, my ex, Sean, has had the same job for 18 or 19 years, and he's extremely intelligent, but he is a lazy human being that only likes to do the things that he likes. But he loves to cry to his friends and create a narrative of victimization. I dated the man. I dig into people's timeline. I ask questions. So he told everybody, him and his fugly sister, told everybody that they were so poor when they were kids. Y'all, they were not poor. Their parents made horrible decisions, but his father is a Nepo baby. And so his grandfather worked his ass off selling cars, and his father decided to be a puppeteer. So as you can imagine, Sean, sandwiched between a boomer, a hardworking boomer, and then a 1960 cool dude who did whatever he wanted, that cool dude spoiled the shit out of Sean. And when I tell you, Sean got to go with his dad to the record store constantly and buy whatever records they wanted. So Sean hyperfixated on that with his father. And then also his dad and him constantly had cars and they would work on them together. So Sean had a car when things that poor people don't have. But see, in this country, people create a narrative of poverty based on not having what they want, not on actual poverty, right? So, were there times when Sean's mom and dad had zero money? Yes. Abso-fucking-lutely. They bought a house, rent to own, and when Hurricane Hugo hit, a tree fell on the roof, and instead of fixing the hole on the roof, they decided not to pay the payment or fix the house, and they got fucking kicked out. And so now his parents live in Ohio, the land of stubborn white people and cheapness, while Sean goes around telling everybody this fairy tale story. Even everything about this dude is fake. He goes to work and then he goes to band practice because he's going to forever be a teenager. Is he a great musician? Absolutely. Is he in great bands? Absolutely. Is he a great person? No, he's a liar. He's a liar who likes to be in age gap relationships because he gets to facilitate an imitation of an adult. I mean, this is a dude that has a fucking Indiana Jones costume on a mannequin. But see, that's how white people, and now through our bad habits, a lot of brown people and other people love to live in a fantasy world of virtue signaling and forced crucifixions that are not real. Not real. It's not real. Not real. It is fake. When I met him, his credit score was 515, and I made him pay his debts. And I said, "Sir, why do you think that you get to create debt and not pay it?" Like, I was the first person to ever hold him accountable. I'm probably the only person that ever has held him accountable. Because when his ex-wife, the love of his life for 15 years, dumped him during COVID, according to him, it was because of COVID. No, it's because you don't bathe. You wear the same clothes over and over, and no, that is not autism. That's laziness. And I know this because I grew up in West Virginia with a bunch of fucking Seans. Please, somebody, send him a link to this. Oh, and his sister, when I met her, she wouldn't even look me in the eyes. And I was like, "Hey, Sean, what's wrong with her?" "Oh, that's just the way that she is." Rude, entitled, histrionic, an emotional bully. Whiteness is humanness, and it comes in various shades of black and brown because humans are virtue signaling apex predators that live in a fairy tale delusion. I would rather live in communist China. How fucking audacious. Thank you.